In this video, I am going to share the psychology of business owners who fail. And this is off the back of me spending about 400 hours coaching in 2025, working with coaches, working with consultants, working with creators. This is not a scripted video. You will see my dear dog is here in the background, so you can use him as basically a gauge for how authentic and real this is. But I want to share this with you because with the 400 hours plus of coaching that I've done this year, I've begun to notice some patterns, and I've begun to notice some things that coaches who explode past the 10K mark consistently show up and do. And when I say things, it's how they think, how they act, how they behave, how they perceive different things in their business. And I'm going to share all that with you if you stick around for this video. But I've seen the difference in the coaches who explode past 10K in a matter of 5-6 months, and then other coaches who take a year and a half to get there. And then other coaches who just get stuck in the same position. It might be 2K, 3K, 5K, whatever, but they get stuck in the same position for months and months and sometimes even years. And I want to just share what I've been seeing so that you can understand and you can apply basically the opposite of what I'm going to share. I'm going to share the things not to do and also the things to do, but just so you can take away some value from this video and you can build a little bit of awareness around what's holding you back right now. This is not a mindset video per se. I'm not a mindset coach. I'm not selling you a mindset coaching or anything like that. But this is just what I have found over the last few months. And first thing that I've noticed is there is a massive, massive problem in the coaching space. And I say coaching space, my clients are psychologists, authors, consultants, coaches, creators. Like there's quite a wide umbrella for the people that I work with. But generally they have info businesses or they have coaching businesses or service-based businesses. And one of the big problems that I see here is people focus too much on the service delivery and acting like a freelancer versus stepping into the role of business owner and entrepreneur. And there's a very clear difference in the way that these two groups of people think. I think freelancer and employee could also be in the same bundle. So employee thinking and freelance thinking. And then on the other side of the coin, we have entrepreneurial thinking. And the distinction between these is that on my left-hand side, which is probably your right-hand side when you're watching the video, I'm not sure, the employee/freelancer mindset is a low leverage way of thinking and a low leverage way of perceiving the world. While on the other side, the entrepreneurial mindset and way of thinking is a high leverage way of perceiving the world and way of thinking about things and way of acting and being. So that's the big distinction. It's low leverage thinking versus high leverage thinking, and I'm going to explain to you what that actually looks like. So there's three main things that I see that are costing people a huge amount of money and progress and time and fulfillment and happiness in their business. And the first of these is who you want to become. And a lot of us get into the online coaching space and we don't actually think about the person we are becoming. But the great thing about entrepreneurship, right? Entrepreneurship is the greatest self-development journey you could possibly go on. It is you overcoming problems, challenges, fears, doubts, anxieties, insecurities, like everything. Entrepreneurship, in my opinion, is the ultimate self-development vehicle. But too many of us get into the online coaching game and we forget that we're going into entrepreneurship. We're going into this almost cesspit of difficulty, right? It's an incredible cesspit. I love it. But it's almost like being thrown into a baptism of fire, right? There's so much responsibility. There's so many fires to put out all the time. You generally don't have anyone else that you can rely on. And most of the time, it's just you fighting to move one step forward and put fires out and struggling for a lot of the journey, especially early on. But what we often don't give much thought to, we just get stuck in and we just start doing. We don't give a lot of thought about who do you want to become. And I spoke to a coach this week, and it's clear to me that he hadn't thought deeply about this question of who do I want to become. And he created a great offer that he wanted to share and grow, and he's already selling the offer, but the offer seems to be a little bit disconnected from who he really is or who he wants to be, or maybe he's just not actually had the time to figure out what it is. And he feels like he's playing a character. And the reality is we don't want to be playing a character. We want to be creating a character. So instead of playing a character and trying to impress other people or entertain other people or get likes or validation from other people, what we want to think about is what is the kind of character I want to create and build. And am I becoming that character? And am I doing the things that align with that character? Because we want to be authentic, but at the same time, we're on this self-development journey of entrepreneurship. And if we don't think about who do we want to be on the other side, it's very easy for us to kind of get lost in how should I show up? What should I post? What should I talk about? And your personal brand is effectively the backbone of your personal brand. There's a couple of parts, but one huge part of the backbone of your personal brand is the person you are becoming, the inspirational individual you can be for others around you. Of course, you have the stuff on the other side, which is what you do for other people, the problems that you solve, how you relate with them. But a massive part of your personal brand and what you should sell and how you should sell comes down to who do you want to be? Who are you trying to be? And if you want to be somebody who works with a high caliber demographic, you want to work with somebody who you can charge a lot of money and give a serious service, you want to be an expert, you want to be perceived as an expert, you want to have the status that goes along with the business success, you want to talk on podcasts, you want to write books, you want the accolades. And I want these accolades, by the way. There's nothing wrong with wanting the accolades, so long as you're doing it for yourself and the person that you want to become. And of course, to some extent, we're all influenced by the opinions of others, no matter what we say. But we do want to think about who do I want to become for myself, and not find ourselves playing a character. And too often people are playing a character that they don't want to be. There's people out there who have grown massive followings based on a character that they don't want to be. That's not actually them. It's a false character. Now, we also don't want to be completely 100% authentically you. Because if you're completely 100% authentically you, you are weird. I am weird. We are all weird in our own ways. And we sometimes have to just tone that down based on who we actually want to attract and who we want to speak to and who we want to relate with. And if we want to relate to a specific demographic and we want to build a business in a specific area, we do have to factor that in when we think about authenticity and think about who is the version of me that I am becoming and how can I authentically show up as that person while also holding my own personality and character traits and not losing myself in the process. But who do I want to be? And if who you want to be or who you want to be does not align with who you want to work with, there's going to be a problem. There's going to be a serious problem because you're pulling in two different directions. You're trying to build a business that's going this way, but your actual character and your identity goes a different direction. So you need to really think about who do I want to become? And then who does that person get to sell to? Who does that person get to resonate with? Who does that person get to work with? Because if you get those two things misaligned, it's very, very difficult. And I am fortunate enough that I've never felt myself playing a character, but it's a big, big difficulty for people. And there's people with 1 million followers who have this difficulty as well. So just bear that in mind. The very first thing that you need to worry about is who do you want to become? Get clear on the habits, the behaviors, the standards, the life that you want financially, in terms of health and fitness, in terms of relationships. Like, who do you want to be in 5 years? Who do you want to be in 10 years? Who do you want your kids to see you as? Because they're going to be on the internet and social media in 10 years' time. They're going to know what you did or what you didn't do. So what do you want them to see? What would make you proud of yourself? Get clear on that. That's really, really important. Who do you want to become? As soon as you know who you want to become, you can then start thinking of how that person shows up and interacts in the world. And one thing that I notice, when we go back to just who you want to become, right? A high leverage version of that is somebody who holds very high standards, who makes sure that they tend to all the different areas of their lives, who doesn't neglect anything. A low leverage version of that is I'm going to be somebody to appease others. And another low level version of that is like, I don't care about anyone, I'm going to just do whatever I want. But that also is not a very smart thing to do. So when we go into the second piece of this, which is actually how do I want to show up in the world and how do I perceive different, my relationship with my resources is really the next part. So who you become is the first part and the relationship that you have with resources is the second part. And what I mean by this is resources can be a number of things, but the big ones that I see are money and time. Okay, these are the ones where the coaches who really explode have a much better relationship with these and a much better perception of these. And the coaches who don't have a very poor perception or relationship with these. And what I mean by that is I see coaches who are struggling to grow their business, but they are throwing away their time, their energy, and their attention for some very low level return, such as working another job on the side, or working in a gym or going to take up another job that just, it's trading their time for money for, doesn't actually matter about the rate, because what really matters here is the opportunity cost. So even if the rate is good, usually the opportunity cost is a lot higher than the rate. So let's take, for example, there's one coach I spoke to recently, and he's absolutely flying, but his plan is he's got a job opportunity and he's got the coaching business and he's got a job opportunity for a year where he can make a lot of money. And I understand where he's coming from when he says this is a great opportunity, I'm going to work hard for a year, I'm going to keep tipping away at the coaching business on the side. But what I think he is failing to see is the opportunity cost of stepping back from a business that is consistently growing for 12 months and giving 12 months of his time and his life and his energy and his attention to somebody else to make money, where the hourly rate is great, but it is nothing to do with his business. It's a completely different field. He's not going to learn any skills. He's not going to learn, how to be a better business owner. He's not going to be able to put the time and the effort into the business because this is a full-time job that he's planning to take. And effectively, that trade-off for 1 year of high income hourly rate, that trade-off in a 10-year period of time is going to be a really poor trade-off for the business, because the opportunity cost of locking in for another year in a business that's already growing, where he's at capacity, he's at the point now where he can just blow this thing up. But there's this kind of safe, secure, let me make money here, and it's that kind of low leverage thinking of employee thinking. It's safety, it's security, it's maybe not having full belief and conviction, or maybe just not actually understanding the big picture and seeing the opportunity cost and that relationship with time and money, where an hourly rate, a good hourly rate seems like a great thing. But the reality is that a good hourly rate takes your time and your energy and attention from the things that could make you 10x, 100x, 1000x per hour in the future, which is something leveraged. There's somebody else who I spoke to as well recently, kind of similar, but earlier on in the journey, where the difficulty is just time. And the time that's going into the coaching business is about the same as the time that's going into working on the gym floor. Working on the gym floor, teaching classes, doing these kind of things, but the goal is to grow the business and make money. And this person is spending 60 hours a month in the gym for basically minimum wage. And one client sale, one upfront client sale would cover the entire month of the money that is made from the 60 hours. And so as an entrepreneurial thinker and a high leverage thinker, I immediately think, if I had 60 hours to dedicate fully to the business, would I be able to make more than the €800 that I'm being paid? And of course the answer is yes. I'm confident that if I dedicated 60 hours to my business, I would make 5, 10, 15, 20 times that. And that's the difference of low leverage employee freelancer thinking versus high leverage entrepreneurial thinking. It's the relationship with time and money. And again, it comes back down to, how you perceive money. Is money something that is scarce and hard to get, or is money simply just part of a value equation that's easy to get if you can provide value, and it's a simple process to get money? And again, it's hard to, especially when you're near the start. I really sympathize and I really resonate, because I come from a working class background. I did not have a lot of money growing up. I did not have abundant money beliefs at all. I'm still overcoming that stuff. I'm still working hard on that stuff all the time, but it's massively improved from where it was 10 years ago. But I resonate. It's really, really difficult. But I want to make you aware that maybe you are making decisions like this, where you're not valuing your time and your energy and your attention, because it's not just the hour that you lose if you go and you work for somebody else, but it's the opportunity cost of what could I have done with that hour? And it's the energy cost of, okay, I work 8 hours, but I still have 4 hours to work on the business in the evening. But if you work 8 hours, how productive are the 4 hours on the business in the evening? And the answer is probably not very productive, because again, it's not only the time, it's the energy, it's the attention, it's the focus, it's the lack of focus, the distraction. What about if you're dealing with fires, putting out fires in work, putting out fires with other people, having whatever? You've got a ton of time, energy, and attention being drained out of you. And the reality is, to grow a business in 2025, 2026, you need time, energy, and attention, because it's getting harder. It's getting more difficult. And there are people, I just spent 30 hours over the weekend building out a funnel. And I absolutely love what I do. I don't have to work on the weekend, but I see us living in a golden era of opportunity. And I see a 5 or 10 year window where we can have an insane impact. We can completely change the trajectory of our lives and our families' lives. And I'm willing to sit down and work 30 hours over the weekend. And there are a lot of people like me in every niche. There are people like me who will happily spend their entire weekend working on their future, even if they don't have to. And I take plenty of downtime, plenty of time off. But the reality is that there are people who are working way harder and way more efficiently than you are right now. And you may still, be giving away your time and energy and attention. And it's not going to help you. It's going to make life very, very difficult. By the way, if this is interesting to you, I talk about all this stuff on my emails all the time. You can find the link in the bio, and there's also a video there breaking down the system that I use to basically bring people to 10K a month with good time, freedom, fulfillment, and basically using digital assets and things like that as well, so that they're not. I know I just told you I worked 30 hours this weekend. I did, but it was building a funnel that's going to work for me in the future. That's not what my clients normally do, so don't expect that. But yeah, join the list. There's a lot of value on there as well. Number 3. So who are you becoming? How are you behaving towards your resources, your time and your energy and your attention? Are you treating those as valuable, or are you just doing a quick money grab for some low leverage work that's going to pay you a bit of cash? It's going to give you a bit of security. It's going to give you a bit of a feeling of things being okay, but it's holding you back from growing and exploding to the next level. And again, the coaches who are exploding in 5-6 months, they're doubling, tripling, 4 times their income. They're not doing those things. They are not doing those things. I can promise you they're not doing those things. And the coaches who are struggling are doing those things. The third thing is kind of a follow-on from the second thing, but this is how you perceive and react to problems. And there is, I would say, an abundance of problems in the business world. Your entire job as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, is solving problems. You solve other people's problems for them and you get paid, okay? So you solve problems for other people, you solve health and fitness problems for health and fitness people. You solve business problems for business people. You solve, performance problems for athletes. You solve problems for someone. The bigger the problem, the more valuable the problem you solve, the better paid you are. But you also have to solve all your own problems. And business is very, very simple. At the end of the day, especially a business like this, where it's a coaching business or an info business, it's very, very simple. You need to get traffic. You need to get people to understand that you exist. You need to turn them into leads, interested parties. You need to put them into a sales process. You need to close them, and you need to get them results. It's really simple. It's those 5 things. And there's always one of those 5 things that is holding you back. And if you can solve that thing, then you will be able to grow until something else breaks. And this is really the whole business building process, is find a problem that needs to be solved, fix the problem, push forward until you encounter the next problem, find the problem, fix the problem, push forward until you encounter the next problem. And you probably will always have multiple problems, by the way, but there's always one priority problem. So for example, if you're a coach and you're on Instagram and you're posting content all the time and people absolutely love your posts, they get a lot of views, they get a lot of engagement, and they engage with you a lot, but you're not booking in calls, you do not need more traffic. You don't need more followers. You don't need more views. You don't need more engagement, because you have that. So the problem you actually have to solve is turning that into leads, into sales, into clients who you can deliver for. So a lot of people think that they don't have enough clients coming in, but they have 3,000 followers, and they're like, I need to get more followers. But if you can't sell to 3,000 people, what makes you think you'll sell to 4,000 or 5,000 or 6,000? It makes no difference, right? If you can't sell, then the number of people doesn't matter. I have coaches who are 1,600 followers who are doing $18,000 a month, okay? So you don't need a lot of followers. But again, people are solving the wrong problems. Back to my point. Problems and your attitude to problems is so important. And so many coaches and creators, I don't know if that was a mosquito, but something tried to bite me on the lip. So many coaches and creators are, what's the word? They are afraid, they are, I would say, beaten down. They're beaten by problems. Problems come and they let the problems get them down. They let the problems make them slip into self-doubt. They let the problems make them second guess everything. They work with clients that they don't enjoy working with, and they go, oh, maybe I'm in the wrong vehicle. Maybe I should just do something else. They have a client who has a bad experience, and they second guess themselves as coaches. They struggle to make money for a couple of months, and they think that online business doesn't work. all of this is nonsense. Like, you, at some point, right, at some point, you will solve so many problems that you don't worry about problems anymore. And that is the reality. Right now, I love problems. And I have loads of them, trust me, tons of them, they're everywhere. And I like it because that means I'm pushing forward. It means that I'm going to the next level because I'm overcoming obstacles, I'm building skills, I'm building my character. Of course, every time I level up, the bigger the problems I solve, the more money that I make. But people are scared of problems, or they see problems as, I'm going to be a failure, this business is going to be a failure. No, the whole game is problems. Problems are the game. And your relationship with problems and how you basically can be resilient. You need to be resilient. This is really the crux of it. You need to be resilient. The first thing is you need to know who you want to be. You need to show up authentically as yourself. The second thing is you need to know how to value your time and yourself, and you need to be able to allocate your resources properly. And the third thing is you need to be resilient. Like, that's really it. If we break it down, those are the three things. And I just see these three things holding people back so much. And the people who come in, who are like, this is me, this is who I want to be, this is who I want to work with, and it's all aligned. It's not me trying to work with some high-ticket demographic here, but my reality is way over here, and I don't actually connect with these people, and I don't actually want to be like these people. Like, you've got to find the people you actually are like and you want to be around. If you don't do that, it's going to be really, really difficult. And if you can find the people that you really like and you want to be around, then you can, of course, start to spend more time with them and work with them. Finally, I'm going to just give you a 4-step process to actually fix and solve this, right? Because I've given you a lot of information there, and hopefully it makes sense, hopefully it lands, but also it might not be that actionable, okay? So you need to solve this. If you're struggling in your business right now, if you've been stuck at the same revenue number for quite an amount of time, I'm pretty sure you will have nodded your head to some things and gone, oh yeah, that's me. I don't have a good relationship with problems. I don't have a good relationship with my resources. I'm not really sure who I want to be. I'm not sure of my offer. I'm not sure of my perfect client. I'm not sure who I want to be. I don't know what's going on. I don't have that kind of awareness. And that is the first point. For any of these things, you have to first become aware. When you become aware, you can start to actually notice when you're doing these things. So the very first part is awareness. Think about it, sit down, think about everything I wrote or I said in this video, write it down, see what here applies to you. I'm sure there's things that have applied. Go back and watch the video again. Write down the things that resonated with you and start becoming aware of them. Notice when you do them on a daily basis. Notice where you're giving away your time. Where are you giving away your time? And think about the next level of you. How would the next level version of you behave? Would they give away their time like that? Think about how you react to problems. Do you curl up and freeze? Do you flight or do you fight? Do you stand up and go, yeah, problem, let's fucking take it. Why not? Let's solve this. I will be a better person as a result of it. I will be more valuable to society. I'll be more valuable to my clients. And I'll feel good about it if I overcome a problem, right? Where life is just problems anyway. You know, if you don't solve the business problems, you're going to be solving the problem of being stuck in some dead-end job that you hate. So pick your problems. But you need to first become aware. So think about it. Where are these things showing up? Where are you not showing up as the person you want to be? Do you even know who you want to be? Get clear on that. Bring awareness to that. Get clear on your relationship with your resources, your time, your money, your energy, your attention. How are you treating your most valuable resources? Are you throwing them away to other people? Or are you investing them into things that are going to build for you long term? How are you reacting to problems? How are you resilient? Are you actually showing up with a smile in your face on the bad days, or at the very least showing up with an attitude of, I'm going to overcome this? And once you have awareness there, then you commit. And you commit to, here's where I am falling down, and here's what I need to change. Here's who I want to be. This is the kind of person I want to be. This is the relationship that I want to have with my time, with my finances, with my energy, with my attention. This is how I want to show up and solve problems. Okay? This is what it's going to look like for the best version of me. And commitment is not just saying it to yourself. Commitment is actually doing it. Commitment is going into the gym and telling them to fuck off and saying, hey, no way, I'm not working for minimum wage. Like, I'm not doing it. I'm going to go and build my business. Commitment is, deciding that I am going to be this person. I'm going to show up as this person. I'm going to build my character. I'm not playing a character. I'm building myself into this character. And it has to be a character that you want. But you need to decide who that is, and you need to commit. And you need to decide, how do I, and I'll tell you how you do that in the next 2 points, How do I actually become that character? But you need to decide who the character is. You need to commit. You need to decide how you're actually allocating your resources. And you need to decide what kind of an attitude am I going to show up with when problems arise? And how do I perceive problems? And again, these things are all interlinked. Who you are, how you perceive problems is part of who you are. And how you react and perceive your resources is part of who you are. So it's not like this is all one or three very separate things. They may have some intersection. But think about these things, because if you can be resilient, if you can protect your time and attention, and if you can show up as the best version of yourself, your business will fucking explode. Last two things, awareness, commitment, and then you actually need environment. And this is vitally important. And this is why I actually just the other day, I was encountering some difficulties in the funnel that I'm building. And it was costing me a lot of time and attention. And instead of saying, oh, I made a little bit less money this month because I've spent so much time on this, let me cut expenses, I doubled down, I got onto my mentor and I said, hey, I want to spend more time with you one-to-one, right? And I upsold myself to spend more time with somebody who is at a higher level than me so I can learn from them and make more money. So that, again, that's how I attack problems. It's the way that I respond. But you need the right environment. And for me, I want that environment. I have a friend of mine, a good friend of mine, who just sent me a video message the other day. He'll know who it is because he sent me his first ever video message on WhatsApp, and I sent him his first one back. And he does 100 grand a month, okay? And I have maybe 10 friends in my life who do 100 grand a month. And that environment has really, really helped me to level up. And you might not have that, but you need to put yourself in environments where the people at the level you want to be at are. So maybe that's 5K a month, maybe it's 10K a month, maybe it's 20, 30, 50, 100, whatever. Like, you need to put yourself in environments where that stuff is normal. And that's why masterminds, coaching, just actually finding groups of people, which is a little bit harder because there are less of those people. Masterminds and coaching are really the place to find these people. That's why there's so much value in these things. It's why I run my mastermind. It's why people pay me every single week to be in my mastermind. It's not just about me. It's about the community and the other people and the programming and what they learn and the mindset and the resilience and everything else as well. As a kind of second benefit of what they're learning, it's who they're becoming, and the people that surround them play a big role in that. So your environment is the next step to actually making that awareness and the commitment just operate in steroids. Because if you're in an environment of killers who are showing up and they're all making way more money than you, they're all operating at a higher level than you, you're going to be aware of that all the time. And you're going to see how they operate. And you're going to commit to operating because you have this accountability. And the final piece, you're aware, you've committed, you're in the right environment, is the implementation, right? And this is where all the mindset coaches and the manifestors and all that, this is where they fall down. Because that stuff is great. Having a positive mindset, thinking in the right way definitely helps, but you just can't get around the action, right? The fastest way to become the best version of you is not thinking your way there, it's just becoming that person, right? So if you want to be a high leverage entrepreneurial coach, the fastest way to get there is to build the systems, develop the skills, and deploy the strategies of a high-level entrepreneurial coach. Like that's it. If you do those things, you cannot help but become that person. And, if you're in the right environment, plus you do those things, obviously being in the right environment makes it easier to do those things. And if you do those things and you're in the right environment, you will just become a high-leverage entrepreneurial coach and your business will fucking explode.